Good morning. Coming to you live in the gym in Solon Park, New Mexico. This is the 343 commitment and still counting 110 floors for our brother, firefighter Edward Teddy White III. This climb is given with honor and respect for the sacrifices made so that others could live on 9/11 during the rescue effort. This climb takes a total of 7 verticals. Once we finish the 7th vertical, we'll be at the 101st floor. And oh my God, it is humid today. The mast is already fogging up. So we're going to the 101st floor after that 7th vertical. And we have 9 floors after that for our brother to reach the symbolic 110th, the top of the towers. So once we get this first vertical started, we'll kick it into high gear for our brother, lovingly known as Teddy, Edward White III. This climb is dedicated to his father Edward, mother Regina, his siblings, which he was the oldest. Siblings were Chris, Jimmy, Billy, and Suzanne. I'm not sure the complete order, but for his siblings, for his wife Jennifer, and his daughter Taylor. So here we go. Here's that first vertical of 7. So coming to you live in the gym again for firefighter Edward Teddy White III. Our brother was 30 years old at the time of his response on 9/11. As part of Engine 230 out of Brooklyn, Bedford, Stuyvesant, the Park Ave Rats. And I actually went up for the Park Ave Rats just this previous climb for Eugene Welland. So, under the direction of Captain Brian Ahern, our brothers responded to the worst terrorist attack on United States soil. But because of bravery, valor, and heroism that was shown, they saved upwards of 25,000 people. So, we're going up for their family, the FDNY, and our country, to keep a promise made 19 years ago that we would never forget, but instead we would always remember. So our brother gave 3 years of service to the citizens of New York as a member of the FDNY, which he was extremely proud of, according to his brother and sister Christopher and Suzanne. It said that he initially got on with the Park Ave Rats, transferred over to the Taj Mahal Engine 326 out of Queens, and I think that's housed with ladder 160. And then he transferred over to the Fire Factory on ladder 26, and he came back to the Park Ave Rats again, Engine 230, out of the Bedford Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. So this 110 floors is to give honor and respect for his siblings, his father Edward White Jr., nicknamed Teddy, the number 1 son, primarily because of the order of him being the oldest sibling. And it said, from me talking to Chris, that Teddy would always let his brothers know that he was the number 1 son. So one thing I found out during this morning's conversation is, and one thing you'll find out is, when you're in the firehouse, everybody gets a nickname. One way or the other, you'll have a nickname. And so when When Edward went into his firehouse at the FDNY, he told them, "My name is Edward, but you can call me Teddy." And they're like, "You can't tell us to give you a certain nickname." So from that point forward, he was known as Ed Wood, if I remember correct from the conversation, or Ted Wood, one of the two. I've got to look at it again. So everything is done by memory. After about a 30 to 40-minute research. So anything that is explained off, I apologize. It's all there. So for our brother who was actually off, he would have been scheduled off on 9/11 with the Park Ave Rats, but he was covering a shift for one of his brothers there at the station. And Chris told me that he told them that he was assigned to the nozzle that day while working the extra tour. For our brother and his sacrifice, we will never forget, but instead we will always remember. Our brother was known to be very athletic. It said that he played softball, baseball, football, and basketball. And he had also, Ted Wood, that's correct. Thanks, Chris. I was trying to remember. He also taught basketball and baseball. Our brother was an avid New York Yankees fan, loved watching baseball, and loved collecting the memorabilia that went along with it. For the White family, this is your climb. Taking our brother, who served on multiple trucks before responding on 9/11. Our brother started off again at the Park Ave Rats. Then he went to the Taj Mahal in Queens with engine 326. And then went to the Harlem's Fire Factory. And came back to the Park Ave Rats again. There in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. For his siblings, Chris, Jimmy, Billy, who I found out worked for the New York Department of Sanitation, and his sister, Suzanne. Taking him up one step at a time till the next floor to finish his 110th floor memorial climb. Our brother was a father, a husband, a brother, a son who will never be forgotten. His legacy will live on, and his story will be told, shared on here, in stadiums, on road races, in 5Ks, bike rides, from the U.S. all the way across the world. They will never, ever be forgotten. These are the reasons we climb, so they will never just become a name on a plaque or a picture on a wall. Their families know that we are keeping our promise to always remember, never forget. A promise that was started 9/11/2001. We have kept in our commitment, and right now this is his story. For our brother who was 30 years old, nozzleman at the time of response on engine 230, the Park Ave Rats, out of the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn, under direction of Captain Brian Ainherd. They went into the towers, not knowing what was going to happen, but our brothers went into immediate rescue mode, and because of the valor, bravery, and heroism that was displayed, they saved upwards of 25,000 people. So right now, we're continuing this climb to give honor and respect for our brother his wife Jennifer, his daughter Taylor, a great son, a great brother, the oldest of the 5, known as the #1 son, and lovingly known as Teddy. And as I said, he attempted to have the guys at the station call him Teddy, and instead they told him, your new nickname's Ted Wood. So for our brother Teddy, we're going to the very top to finish his footsteps, and down to 5 brothers after this climb finishes. To the 110th floor, we're going, pushing them all the way to the very top, with honor and respect for the sacrifices made so that others would be able to live. Our brother loved, cherished being on the FDNY. He was so excited when they were able to attend family night at his academy for his siblings, being the oldest, with Christopher, Jimmy, Billy, and Suzanne. Chris, we're finally here, brother. I know it took a while, but we finally got to Teddy's climb. To give honor and respect where it's due. Our brother was very athletic when he was growing up. Played softball, basketball, football, and baseball. That said, he also played golf and coached basketball and baseball. He loved baseball. He loved the New York Yankees and collected memorabilia from the New York Yankees. But right now, we're on the last 4 verticals coming up in this 110th floor memorial climb. For firefighter Edward Teddy White III. Teddy was his nickname, and his nickname at the fire station at FDNY was Ted Wood. He introduced himself as Edward, but you could call me Teddy, and they took it from there. They gave him Ted Wood instead. Our brother was off a shift on 9/11, but instead he ended up working to provide coverage for one of his brothers at Engine 230. When he got on the job, he had 3 years given to the citizens of New York. Our brother worked at the Park Ave Rats there in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Then he went to the Taj Mahal in Queens on Engine 326. And then he went to the Fire Factory of Harlem on Ladder 26. Prior to coming back to the Park Ave Rats. This climb is dedicated to the White family. To his mom, Regina, father, Edward Jr., his siblings, Christopher, Jimmy, Billy, and Suzanne, his wife, Jennifer, and his daughter, Taylor. I promise you, He will never, ever be forgotten. His story will live on. His legacy will live on. 19 years later, we still remember that commitment is being kept. Taking our brother to the very top. The 338th brother to reach the top since this commitment started back in August of 2016. Right now, this is his story coming to you live in the gym in Sunland Park, New Mexico. This is the 343 commitment and still counting. Initial 343 climbs for our brother, firefighter Edward, lovingly known as Teddy White III, off of engine 230 in his response on 9/11. He was working a shift for one of his brothers. Turns out he was on the nozzle on the response under the leadership of Captain Brian Ahern. The Park Camp Rats went to work. And because of the bravery, the valor, and the heroism that was shown, upwards of 25,000 were saved. This is dedicated to the families, the FDNY, and our country, to keep that promise to the families. We made a promise and a commitment 19 years ago to keep that promise. Because what we're doing on this stair climber, in stairwells and stadiums, in 5Ks, road races, that they will never, ever be forgotten. We're coming up on the last two verticals shortly on this 110 floors for firefighter Edward Teddy White III. The number one son with four siblings, Christopher, Jimmy, Billy, who joined the New York Department of Sanitation, and his sister, Suzanne. Right now, this is your climb. To finish his footsteps to the symbolic 110th floor, the top of the tower. Going with me right now as we climb. With honor and respect for both the rescue effort, but then also in 5 more climbs, we will begin climbing for the end, still counting. Those that work the pile, the ground zero, for days, weeks, up to that almost 9 months later, that the recovery effort was declared complete with the removal of the last beam and its placement in the 9/11 Memorial Museum. They will never, ever be forgotten. Their sacrifices because of working the recovery effort to bring resolve to the FDNY, to their families, and to our country, where they received 9/11 illnesses and cancers. They will also make that journey to the top of the towers, one by one, to get them there. Now, this is the second to last vertical for our brother, firefighter Edward, lovingly known as Teddy White III. For his family, his father Edward Jr., his mother Regina, his siblings Christopher, Billy, Suzanne, and Jimmy, and his wife Jennifer, and daughter Taylor. He will never be forgotten. Taking another brother to the very top to finish his footsteps as those who've gone before him. As I said, the last climb was for the Park Ave Rats, firefighter Eugene Wellen, and this climb is for Teddy Edward White III, a firefighter who was covering a tour on 9/11. Ended up being the nozzle man on Engine 230 during that tour. We're up to the last rest before the final vertical for our brother, firefighter Edward Teddy White III. For our brother and his athleticism, he played golf, played baseball, taught. He was a coach in his community. I think it said baseball and basketball, if I remember correctly. This is your climb to take our brother to the very top on the 338th journey to that symbolic top of the towers, being given right now with honor and respect for those sacrifices that were made so that others could live. Ted Wood, as he was known around the firehouse, because the firehouse gives you your nickname. Our brother was with Engine 230, the Park Ave Rats, before going to, and this was out of the academy, before going to the Taj Mahal there in Queens, Engine 326. I think they're with ladder 160, but don't hold me to it. And then he went to the Harlem Fire Factory on ladder 26 prior to making it back to the Park Ave Rats. They're in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Right now, this is his last vertical to get us to that 100 and first floor as we climb all the way to that symbolic top of the towers. "19 years later, we remember a commitment that was started almost 5 years ago now. Still going strong. All the way to the finish line. 5 brothers left to carry to the very top after this climb. And we're almost there. Pushing it. To that 101st for our brother. Climbing on the stair climber. While sharing his story. Three years of service given to the citizens of New York. A husband to Jennifer. A father to his daughter, Taylor. And if I remember correct from what I read, he and Jennifer married, I believe it was in 98, and Taylor was born in 99. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Pushing the last floors till our brother has finished his symbolic journey to the very top. For his mother Regina, father Edward White Jr., his siblings Christopher, Billy, Suzanne, and Jimmy, and Jennifer, his wife, and Taylor, his daughter. Our brother will never, ever be forgotten. Coming up on the last little bit, like 3 more floors to this completion. Our brother who had picked up a tour on 9/11, the novelman who responded to the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil, and upwards of 25,000 were saved because of bravery, heroism, and valor that was shown by those that responded on 9/11, 2001, and that followed in the recovery effort with the Anso County. And right now, this climb is complete. Firefighter Edward, Teddy White. Let's use it, brother. We got it from here. Never, ever forgotten.
So you're responding to the bubble